Hello, everyone. Stocks kicked off a new trading week with some solid gains overall. The best part of today's gains came with the Russell 2000 leading the way. I've said recently that we want to start seeing the Russell 2000 leading on the short term, and that's what we got on Wednesday whenever it moved up nearly 3%. Held onto its gains well on the Thursday Friday pullback, and now it's breaking out to new short-term highs. So everything on my end is good right here. We're under a operational buy mode across the board. The quality of long patterns are still, yeah, but they're working on it. And the fact is that so what we've seen now, which tells me it's totally time to go. If I do get any good patterns, you can guarantee I'm pushing 5 to 10% anything. Unfortunately, they're not out there. So once again, during this part of the uptrend, I'm going to have a lot of long positions. I don't want to, but it's what I have to do with my methodology, because if I'm not sure on something, I'm not going to go all in on it. I just know better, and we're in the middle of earnings season. I've gotten very lucky so far this year with earnings winners, but it's not a market that we can push heavily into any one name, as there's still some mixed messages in the market. But overall, Russell 2000, excellent, beautiful day. Moving over to the S&P 500, you can see here stair-stepping higher. It's amazing how quickly we have worked off the August sell-off. It's very impressive. Unfortunately, the only thing that isn't that impressive, it's a little bit better on a weekly, but on the up days, we really don't have a whole lot of heavier volume on the second half of the move off the October lows. It sure would be nice that if we could have started out with heavier volume and then now really start to pick up on the volume on these breakout days here, but we're used to low volume rallies, so I wouldn't overthink it too much. Right now, price is all that matters. And as you can see, things are, very, very bullish for the rest of these indexes. The NASDAQ 100, I mean, my God, is hitting new all-time highs, so kind of hard to be bearish against price action like that. And, new long positions continue to do well. I had 4 speculative long positions yesterday, and not surprisingly and surprisingly, I guess, same time, 2 of them gapped beyond my limits, and none of them pulled back to their opening morning lows where I then moved my limits up to. But NEO up 13% today. 730 is now where my limit is. I doubt it's going to get filled. It looks like I'm going to miss NEO. But if NEO runs, we're now in the market where now, so I wasn't convinced this morning, but following today's gains, I now start trading like this. But when I put my orders in, NEO was already up after hours. I guess on Friday. I didn't look. I just noticed that it was up whenever I was putting my orders in. I put them in late last night. And CLLS, whenever I was awake this morning getting ready for the market open, was gapping up also. Now, if today's price action was already under my belt, CLLS would have been split up into half limit order at the time, would have been half limit order at 26.65, half market order. But because we didn't have a follow through to our buy signal yet, it didn't happen. And with NEO, it would have been half of the limit at 706, the other half of the order a market order. So we would have gotten some of NEO with its 13% gain, about 10%, and we would have gotten some of CLLS with its near 15% gain, for us 18% overall compared to Friday's close. So we're now in the market where we can do that. Like I said before, we didn't have it. We got a follow through day back here. I believe it was right here, or yeah, it would have been right there. Or maybe, nope, that wasn't it. So right there. So there's our follow through day on the NASDAQ, follow through day on the S&P 500, a little bit more clear. And then we waited quite a while to get a buy signal confirmation, which we got back here, because the Russell 2000 wasn't leading the way. But once the Russell 2000 took over on Wednesday, we got our buy confirmation, and now we've got a follow through to our operational buy signal. So now if stocks are gapping up in the morning, orders are getting split up. And unless it's an earnings victory, and I'm not going to be going long stocks before earnings, so it doesn't matter. But we do have some new long positions. Only one full sell on an end-of-day basis. ELLI is failing. below the 50-day moving average after attempting a big intraday breakout on 10/29 after having that huge volume reversal, and then another sell-off on the 30th followed by an immediate further sell-off. 3 days, that's extremely ugly. That's destroyed the pattern. No need to wait for a close below these support levels or those support levels. ELLI is a full sell. If you're still long, my final sell stop was hit intraday, which would have been around 66.24. So when it went to 66.23, I was out. But move below 66.02 intraday tomorrow, that would knock you completely out of ELLI. And then also, I still had a small SRTY, even though it was a full sell here. The low a day became the final sell stop, and it didn't trade below that there for 2 days. But now SRTY is out for me, so I don't even have any hedges now. Now for new long positions, there's quite a few. IRMD, it's CanSlim quality. It's confirmed in my new high scan and my price volume BOP scan. Due to the risk, I'm not going to count the new high scan qualification. I'm only going to count it as a CanSlimmer and then the price volume BOP scan. So it's going to be 3% of my account capital in IRMD. Absolutely final sell stop level is a move below 24.57, and I would think that I would be out a half of it with the move below. I think I'm going to do is 25.76 for half of it, right around there, and then 24.57 for the rest. Gives it a lot of room. Once again, that's why I don't want to go ahead and go 4%. Longer basing pattern. Longer basing pattern in this stock. You know, more green BOP and less red BOP, and maybe more quieter volume on the down days, sure, but not with this pattern. But IRMD, 3%. FSLR, it's an earnings winner, so you can do 1% for an earnings winner. It's CanSlim quality, so that's going to be 2%. So now we're at 3%. And price volume BOP scan qualified, so they had a high enough volume, just barely qualifying for the scan kind of overall. But because of that, it's going to receive 4% account capital, 2% CanSlim, 1% earnings winner, and 1% price volume BOP scan confirmed. And then we also have IMPV. IMPV, recent earnings winner, and it's a perfect speculator stock scan, so that's going to receive 3% overall, 3% into IMPV, 3% into IRMD, and 4% into FSLR. Those are the heaviest positions. I have about 35% cash coming into today. My CVRR limits still haven't hit, and I still have those on the book too, so there's a lot of trades happening. And then also DY, just shook me out of half of it again following my buyback. Shook me out of it intraday by barely going below it here on the 30th. But now it's giving me another buyback symbol and a brand new pocket pivot point signal, add signals, CanSlim quality, perfect speculator scan quality, and was in the new high scan. So 1% for CanSlim, 1% for perfect speculator, and 0.5% from being in the new high scan, 2.5% long position. And then LXFT, nice little move breakout, kind of a choppy pattern. So it's kind of risky, but it's CanSlim quality. It was in the perfect speculator scan. It was also in the new high scan and confirmed in my price volume BOP scan. But I don't want to get too crazy with this because earnings are on the 10th. So we'll just keep this at 2.5% instead of 3%. And first sell stop level going to be below 66.37. Final sell stop below 64.60. I don't think that this stock is going to gap down. I've done pretty well buying ahead of earnings, but it is a risk that you take. But I feel like pushing it here. But at 2.5, that's 5%. Then the 3% IRMD, 8%. Then 4% FSLR, 12%, and 3% in IMPV. There's 15% more of my money put to work. Then I have a couple of speculative longs, DTLK. 1% of my account capital in this speculative long position. It's in a price volume BOP scan. And then OCLR, oh man, earnings are tomorrow after the market close. Probably not a stock you should trade, but it's already a preliminary earnings winner back here when it announced preliminary results. It's also was confirmed in my BOP max green for 5-day scan, my new high scan, and my price volume BOP scan. But because earnings are after the market close on the 3rd, even though they're probably going to be good, there's a big possibility the stock could gap down. So only 0.5% of my account capital into that. And then just a reminder, NEO, don't forget, stocks are gapping up. Got to go get half, or else we're going to miss the whole move. See, LS and NEOS taught this. And then also, hindsight is 2020. AVXL long position I did not take back here that we were giving on an intraday basis in our pre-market watch list is now up 103%. And EROS that I did not take on the short side before today's gap up moved down 63%. So make sure you follow those pre-market watch lists, because sometimes these stocks make some huge gains even though we're not a part of them the whole way.